Hey everybody, it's Justin from the Camera Shop in Muskegon, and it's been a while since we've done a live broadcast, but I have a special guest with us today. We've had Sigma with us before with one of our other great tech reps, well, a couple other great tech reps,
Right.
but today I am joined by none other than Mr. Brian Matsumoto. Brian, thank you for joining us this afternoon/evening.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for the invite.
Well, we're happy to have you. Now, you're kind of like one of our local heroes here for us. I mean, you do a lot here for the camera shop as far as you're our direct rep. And sorry, I wanted to silence that phone. So you're a technical rep for Sigma. Can you tell us what your job is with Sigma and how you're here to help the camera shop?
Sure. All right. So my responsibility as a technical rep is to support all of our camera dealers with when there are technical questions, when to show new product, to do classes and presentations, and then to represent Sigma when there's like a sales event, like your summer sale that just was not too long ago, and that's essentially my job. And of course, since COVID, we've been producing online content for camera dealers to use and on the Sigma website. So
great. So, one of the things I like to do, Brian, is, to give people an idea of who you are. Everyone kind of has a start in the photo industry. Everyone kind of has like a story to their beginning. But did you ever get your start as a photographer? I mean, is that how you got started in the industry?
Yeah, all right. So let's do this. A real brief bio of mine is I've been into photography since I was in high school. Back in the day, well, this is back in the film days. I did weddings to work my way through college. I have a bachelor's degree in photography from Southern Illinois University. I came out, I did public relations photography for the university for a while, and then I moved. And then Southern Illinois University is 6.5 hours south of Chicago. I came back to Chicago to do commercial work or commercial assisting. So I ended up shooting a lot of 8x10 and 4x5 film and Polaroid back in those days.
Really cool.
And decided that the work was very irregular and it was hard to depend on a check. So I decided to move over to the supply side, and I went to work for a camera shop. And I was lucky. I landed at Calumet Photographic, which back in those days, they were like the premier place to go for view cameras and professional lighting gear and processing equipment and sinks, stainless steel sinks. That was their niche. And so I worked there for 13 years. It was a lot of fun. And then I was lucky enough to get tapped by the Canon technical rep in 2000 and said, "Hey, you looking for a job?" And I said, "Oh, sure." It was always nice to move up the ladder. And he said, "Because I'm leaving. And if you are interested and you put your resume in, I'll recommend you." And so I spent 14 years at Canon as a technical rep. I was lucky enough to experience the beginning of digital all the way to high resolution sensors and unbelievable ISO performance. So I was very, very fortunate to get through that, and amazed at what digital can do today compared to film. So I've been very lucky. And then oddly enough, the guy who hired me at Canon, the director of professional markets, retired from Canon, and then he went to work for Sigma as a consultant. And he finally talked me into joining Sigma in middle of 2018, and here I am. So wow. Sigma makes great stuff, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But I've been very, very fortunate. And yes, the great thing about both working at Canon and working at Sigma is I get to shoot. So, and of course, the best part of that is I have a sample kit, both in my Canon days and today. And so I've got all the lenses. So life is pretty sweet. So I can't complain.
Yeah, that's nice, because I know the first thing that I did when I started working here was I always loved, coming into the store and everything's under the glass case, and it's like a kid in a candy store when you get to look at all the glass underneath the glass case, and like, man, I
Right.
want to use that. I want to use that.
Right.
And the perks of the job, you get to see a lot of stuff, brand new. You get to try a lot of stuff, and that's, yeah, one of the perks of the job. I would love to have one of those big, heavy cases of lenses of my own that I could just cart away into my closet at any time.
Right. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate, and and it's great working with you guys. It's a lot of fun, and you guys do really amazing, great things. So I
Well,
can't.
and we love having you. So, and you're a great help. You've been there when we need to kind of get an order fulfilled quick, or if we have any technical questions, you're always there for us. And
Absolutely.
I can't thank you enough for that. So,
No
uh,
problem. No problem.
well, before we kind of get into what we are planning on talking about today, if there's anyone tuning in, if you guys are watching this live, feel free to drop Brian or myself any of the questions that you have about Sigma lenses or cameras or anything about photography. That's both right up our alley for Brian and I, and we would love to answer your questions, because that's why we do this. We're trying to kind of open up you guys to the industry and the way that the things work on the inside, and kind of give you a peek behind the curtain for the Great Wizard of Oz here. And it's that's what we're here for. So you guys don't be shy. Brian, before we kind of get into the skinny of I think the two things that we kind of had premiered in the write-up, why should someone consider like a Sigma lens over maybe like a Canon lens? Because you work for Canon, so there's like this great comparison that you can make between like Canon L glass and Sigma glass,
Right.
and and against other companies, like Nikon, Sony, or even against Tamron or some of the other lens manufacturers out there. Why should someone pick up and shoot with a Sigma product?
Okay. So let me give you a really brief history of Sigma. So Sigma was formed by a family in Japan in 1961. And coming forward, they were a lens manufacturer. They did make, actually back in the day, they did make a film camera. They did, the family's goal was to make lenses, cameras, and flash units.
Mm-hmm.
However, they were never, now interestingly enough, they were never really on the cutting edge back in the early days, but fast forward to 2012, they undertook a project to figure out if they could manufacture a lens as good as Canon, Nikon, and Sony's best at a much better price point. So the thing that drew me to working for Sigma was the fact that they have amazing products. Yes, the Art series of lenses, without a doubt, and the Sport series go toe-to-toe with anybody else's lenses out there, Canon, Nikon, and Sony. They're just amazing, and they're all at a better price point. We're very fond of saying that we're very lucky that we've got great engineers, and they've been able to figure this out. And there's a significant savings, generally speaking, in a lens model. And on top of that, what's really nice is every single lens we make is made in one place in Japan. We have no lenses made offshore. So everything, the quality control is just amazing and excellent. What's incredible is what's rolling out in the last 3 or 4 years has just been astounding, particularly price-wise. We're very lucky. You can save a lot of money and get excellent, if not better quality than from Canon, Nikon, or Sony. So that's what we do. So
Well, and you brought up a really good thing in there, a really good point as far as like the quality control. Can you give anyone who's tuning in kind of an idea of just what the measure of quality control is at the Sigma factory when everything's made? I've heard things from a lot of the the techs. I can't think of the first two that we did the interviews with, and the chap from Seattle that we've had, or Portland, who we've had out here with us the last year when we did the photographer event in the summer sale.
right.
but I know there's a degree of quality control. Can you speak to that at all? Like what that really means?
Well, again, so let's back up. So back in the day, Zeiss, which is kind of like the benchmark premier lens manufacturer in the world,
Oh yeah.
back in the let's see, I think late 1930s, rolled out. They started measuring their lenses mathematically so that you could see it mapped on a graph, and the graph is called an MTF chart. So fast forward, Canon joined that party and started publishing MTF charts on all their lenses in 1987 when they went to autofocus.
Mm-hmm.
And Sigma followed suit in 2012 as soon as we rolled out the first art lens, which was the 35 f1.4. So going forward, every single art lens, single sport lens, every single contemporary lens, we publish, and on our website are the MTF charts. You can see exactly how sharp the lens is from the center all out to the edge of the frame at given distances. So it's pretty at a given f-stop. So it's very, very impressive. And you can compare them to one, and Sony has joined that party of publishing MTF charts, as has Tamron. So it's a nice way to do a comparison. So quality-wise, well, like I said, our goal, our mission statement has been lenses as good as, if not better than, our competition's best. So they do, like I said, they do a really amazing job of really addressing that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, the whole trick is our goal has always been to come in less expensive than the major three. The major three being Canon, Nikon, and Sony. So, and I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. So,
well, and I would say so too. I know that you know, a lot of the reviews. I love the Photographer. I like, you know, I really have trusted them for a long time for kind of my camera news, because they really do a good job of kind of diving into the nit and gritty on the lenses. And you know, one of the things that I see with Sigma is, as far as continuity between every review that they have to write or that they publish, in the images that because they send, you know, they allow you to click through the full size images, is that the color is premier and the sharpness is premier with Sigma,
right,
especially when you shoot wide open. So the lenses that are 1.4, typically you don't get your depth of field, or your plane of focus is so paper thin that you miss that a lot with what's in focus, and
right,
and Sigma's there every time.
Right, exactly. The other really great thing is that they calibrate every lens to a incredibly high resolution foveon sensor, much higher than the standard. I guess the highest right now is what, 64 megapixel.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, camera where we're much higher than that. Well, just because we're trying to future-proof the line going forward, that we realize the pixel wars are not over, and the resolution keeps going up. So we're ready for that going forward. So that's the other nice thing is, and that's the other reason why the lenses are so sharp, is that they're really designed for much higher resolution sensors.
And that was something that I wanted to mention earlier, because I had heard that Sigma was trying to is trying to future-proof their line by calibrating and designing these lenses in such a way that, you know, before we've been trying to adapt film lenses with, you know, a digital sensor plane, and the digital sensor definitely treats light differently than the film lenses do.
Right.
And then a film plane does, and that's why even today's filters are significantly different than film filters from, you know, even 20, 30 years ago.
That is correct. Absolutely. So it's been a very interesting shift the last 20 years, literally, going forward. And interestingly enough, you know, all three manufacturers still have some lenses left. The lens design is from the film days. So, and yes, obviously everybody going forward is slowly replacing their lens line. Again, as the sensor resolution goes up, and color consistency becomes really, really important and much more noticeable. So in digital compared to film. So all of those things have to be addressed technically, and that's the challenge to us all the time.
Well, and you guys have been doing a really good job at staying kind of adaptive, and kind of your ears to the ground on what's going to be popular next. I've heard, mirrorless. You guys are kind of like on this whole mirrorless kick right now, where,
Right.
since Sony was definitely not the first camera system to pioneer into mirrorless. We've had great brands like Fuji, Olympus, and Panasonic who have really been leading the industry there and their fields respectively. But it was kind of like when Sony got into, they were the first full frame, unless you guys were, and I'm misquoting, because I forget about the Foveon sensor and the cameras that you guys have.
No, we didn't. The FP camera, which is very recent, is our first full frame. Everything else before that was either APS-H or APS-C.
Okay. And I thought that was the case, but I wanted to make sure, just in case. We want to keep keep Sigma happy, right?
Yes.
So, that being said, Sony was kind of this first one. With the A7, they kind of pioneered this first full frame sensor, and I think they really came into their own with the Generation 2 cameras. The A7 II, the A7S2, the A7R2. And that's kind of where Sigma started this partnership with Sony. If I'm misquoting, correct me. But you guys designed this MC11 adapter that really kind of got you guys kind of into, like, started to get your feet wet with kind of this mirrorless thing, with being able to adapt the Canon EF lenses that you guys were producing onto the Sony system, and it was a seamless transition. Yes.
We're also very lucky because we have a license from Sony for the mount technology, which is why the MC11 works so well.
And that was a brilliant partnership between Sigma and Sony, because I can tell you my Canon lenses, because I had a slew of them. I was I'm still a 5D Mark III shooter, but now that I have two Sony cameras, it makes it really hard for me to want to go back. I use it for weddings occasionally, but I can use those Canon EF lenses, the EF mount that the Sigma art lenses are, on that adapter, and I get the eye autofocus, and it's like it's just as good as a Sony lens. Right.
Exactly. The other advantage is mirrorless cameras, because of the way they work and the autofocus works, which is radically different than an SLR. The lenses have to be better, and then two, the mirrorless cameras offer more technical abilities for the photographer to use, like eye focus, eye follow focus. So, which is a really great thing.
Oh yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, so it's nice that it's a happy marriage of great lens, fast lens, working well with all of the technology in the Sony bodies. So, yeah.
And you guys are starting to take that, the reason why I kind of prefaced what we're leading into in this segue is that you guys made it really easy with this MC11 adapter. You then produced an adapter for the Panasonic series, did you not? Right?
That's correct. The MC21.
The MC21. I wanted to make sure, I wasn't sure of the number because we haven't stocked any of those.
Right.
And you guys made this beautiful transition to be able to use the EF glass on those two camera systems. But then you guys started to dabble in actual direct mounts, where you adapted your whole prime lineup with the EF mount, well, not the EF mount, but the FE mount. And then from the FE mount, you started to kind of go into a direct, a better direct, like a redesign of some of these things. Can you talk about that transition with, from the kind of the quickly adapted mount for the FE and kind of like this new progression into the refinement of that?
Right. So, for example, we offer all of the Sigma Art primes are available with a Sony E-mount. However, they're slightly bigger than our SLR lenses. However, so we didn't take advantage of the fact that Mirrorless is the camera design is different. The sensor is much closer to the mount. We can put it allowed us, as we're going forward now, it's allowing us to have the rear element closer so that there's less of a distance to go for the light to hit the sensor, which also allows us to change the size of the lens. So it's been advantageous for us to go mirrorless route. And obviously, with Sony leading the way, it's been incredibly popular. And, you know, Canon's coming on, Nikon's coming on with mirrorless. So it's here to stay. So going forward, yeah, you'll see more and more options from us, from Sigma, for mirrorless cameras.
Mirrorless cameras as far as lenses go, or the cameras, like camera production as well?
That's a good question. That remains to be seen. I know we have a Foveon sensor full frame camera in the works. I don't know. Nothing has been said, and we haven't seen any specs or even any speculation out of Sigma Japan, so I have no idea if it's mirrorless or an SLR.
Okay.
We don't know yet, so time will tell.
Just because I don't want to read in between the lines or anything, but I heard, you know, technology for cameras, and I'm like, okay, does that mean the lenses or does that mean cameras too? So that being said, I know that you guys are redesigning kind of all your standard SLR lenses to be redesigned for full frame mirrorless directly. Is that right?
That is correct.
And one of the first things that we were talking about today is the new 100 to 400 that's right. Been totally redesigned for the Sony full frame system.
Right. Correct.
And I've got mine actually here. I ran all the way home after 4 o'clock to go get this. So, and I'm sure you have one there too. Let me just break this out. So I've got my A7 III here. And I should grab a 100 to 400 out of the box to compare in size. But that's the new direct mount 100 to 400.
Correct.
And this wasn't the adaptive design, right? Just kind of taking the primes and
total redesign.
And how much? So how much did that save in size and scope for you guys as far as compared to its predecessor with the SLRs?
I don't have the exact specs with me, but it is shorter. It is a little lighter than the 100 to 400 for SLRs.
Is it weather sealed at all?
There are weather seals. You'll notice there's a rubber gasket at the mount.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Yeah, and the switches have weather seals. It's not 100%. It's not like a sport lens.
Okay.
But it does have. To me, it has weather seals in all the right places.
Okay.
So
all the weak spots is kind of what you're saying as far as like the switches and the gasket. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So what can you tell us about the new 100 to 400 design? Outside of that.
Yeah. Again, it's sharper. It's coming in at an extraordinary price point of $949.
Okay.
Which if you well, here you can probably quote this better than I can. The 100 to 400 G Master is how much? 21, 22?
Oh, the 100. I'd have to check, but yeah, let's just pull up B&H here real quick.
Okay.
Because we can actually we can do this in live time. So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. And
we'll go to B&H, so everyone can ride along with us. And we'll do Sony FE 100 to 400. We'll just click on that. There we go, $24.98.
$24.98.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at definitely below half.
Yeah.
That is just as amazing, just as sharp, and the color is terrific. It's one of those that. It's hard to beat, especially at that price point.
Yeah, so you're saying it's $949 right out the gates.
Yeah, $949 right out of the gate.
Okay. Now, with this new design happening, I have to ask, just out of like a curiosity for myself, Now, something you guys did that I noticed is there's a little rubber ring right here.
Ah, yes.
And I think this is something that's really special versus its predecessor in the SLR world, is that you guys kind of addressed an issue with that. Like, I always wanted I know that Tamron, like after you guys produced the 100 to 400, produced one that they could at least put a tripod collar on, right?
That is correct.
And that was kind of like one of the things that you couldn't do with the SLR version of the 100 to 400.
Right.
But you guys have since addressed that with this newer version for the full frame.
So that rubber ring does slip off. And there is a tripod collar available for it. It's $130 additional. Or actually, if you this is the interesting thing. If you already have the 105 f1.4, it's the same tripod collar. You can slip the tripod collar off your 105 and throw it on your new 100 to 400.
Well, there's a reason to go buy the 105, right?
Exactly.
I didn't buy it because it's the Bokeh Master. I bought it because I wanted the tripod collar on it.
Exactly. There we go. Well, it's like you get the tripod collar and this amazing portrait lens to go with it.
Yeah. It's buy a tripod collar for what's the price on that?
$130.
Well, no, on the Bokeh Master.
Oh, 15. Wait in a second.
I know we're putting you on the spot here with like having to have answers off the top of your head.
Yeah, $15.99.
So to make my joke complete, for $15.99, I can buy a tripod collar and get the Bokeh Master for free.
That's correct. Exactly. There you go.
Terrible industry dad jokes, right?
I know.
Well, where would we be without a little bit of levity, you know?
Absolutely.
Now there's a question here from Pontiff Innocent here. He's asking, when I edit in Lightroom, do I get metadata for my Nikon camera? And I can only guess, Pontiff, if you're asking, do you get your metadata from using Sigma lenses when you're editing in Lightroom? Not just generally asking, but asking in the sense of using Sigma lenses on your Nikon gear. Do you have an answer for that, Brian?
Yes, absolutely. So the issue is if you're using a Sigma lens with a Nikon F mount, so it's an SLR lens on your Nikon, yes, you will get all the metadata. If you're using it on a Z camera with the Nikon adapter, yes, you will continue to get the metadata. So hopefully that answers. We, at the moment, do not have Z mount lenses available just yet. I can tell you this much. We're working on it. Sadly, the whole COVID thing truly threw our production schedule for this year right out the window. So we're not really sure when things are going to hit, but I know they're working on them, and we'll have Z and R mount lenses at this point, probably next year.
Okay.
So
well, and that's good to hear for the mirrorless shooters out there. Right. I know that Canon has their R5 and R6 like right around the corner here. They've already announced them. It's just a matter of time to come to market. The same thing with Nikon. Nikon has this, I believe it's the Z5 that they've announced that they'll have coming out. And I can tell you, as as a seller of these cameras, and having the E-mounts already, the FE mounts already available, I know that the sooner those are here, the better off the end user is going to be.
Absolutely.
Because right now, I mean, the only thing you've got is like you can only get the RF, the $2,500 version of the RF, and I've been using the 14 to 24. I've kind of messed around with that, the 24 to 70 FE, and I'm really looking forward to at some point, keeping my fingers crossed, the 70 to 200 2.8 coming at some point. It's always Sigma always kind of leave us hanging on the Elite 3, the holy trifecta.
They like to have trios. They love trios. So we were actually very surprised when the 100 to 400 was introduced. We were all stunned because we were truly expecting the 70 to 200 2.8
Yeah.
in the Sony mount. So hopefully in the not too distant future, we will see that lens.
I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to that lens.
Yeah. So
I would love I mean, that would complete, here's the thing. I have the opportunity to kind of pick up a 70 to 200 2.8 Sport, but I'm kind of wondering, like, well, do I hang on to that money and wait for, a 70 to 200 Sport FE mount? That's kind of my thing. I don't know how long I'll be. Do I still stay with Canon, or have I fully made this transition over to Sony? So, and by
good question.
Yeah, it is. It's really tricky, especially since Canon, Canon's making some nice inroads. We just became a Canon dealer. And
congratulations! That's cool.
Yeah, it's great. We've had that for about 3 weeks to a month, and
you're really like brand new.
Yeah, we're like one of the only new dealers of 2020. It's great stuff. So
got it.
We've got another question here from Raymond, from Ray Vanderhoven. He's saying, can you use the USB port to upgrade any of the lenses on this unit? That's a great question.
Okay, yes, it is a great question. All right, so here how this works. Canon and Nikon, we have a USB dock for those lenses, or I should say those mounts, for any art, sport, or contemporary lens. The Sony lenses, all of the art primes and the 14 to 24 and the 24 to 70 f2.8s, the 35 f1.2, all of those you can update the firmware through the camera body.
Oh, nice.
So this is one of those where you would go to the Sigma website, you download the firmware upgrade onto your desktop, load it onto a formatted SD card that you formatted in your camera, and then you go to the menu to firmware, and yes, the camera will detect that there's a firmware upgrade on it. You then have to tell in the menu there's a selection of either camera or lens, and you can select lens, and it'll update just the lens.
Okay, and then otherwise, for the Canon or Nikon, the Nikon F and the Canon EF, you guys have the docking system to update the lenses, and you guys do that quite frequently, actually. I mean, it's always prudent to check, especially when a new camera comes out. I know that you guys are always watching what your customers are saying as far as there being communication issues or vignetting issues or something like that, and or autofocus issues. And there's always, I mean, shoot, I think the MC11 is like on version 1.22 or something like that, where there's been like 20 some odd updates.
Yes, that is
so
correct.
If that's any indication, Ray, it just means that Sigma is paying close attention to what customers are having issues with particular camera models, with their with the respective lenses, and they're always continually updating that. And if you guys need help with that, I can show you how to do that. I carry the docks at the store. It's a very simple process.
Perfect.
So we're able to help you with that if you don't want to send it out to Sigma, because you guys do some awesome warranty work with the lenses yourselves.
Yes,
for calibration and such, right?
Yes, all of the Sigma lenses come with a 4-year warranty. So one of the things that I always suggest, yes, you can have, I'm sure, do you guys offer a focus adjustment at the store?
We don't do focus, kind of like, what do you call it? They call it, what's the fine tuning when you fine tune the lens?
Fine focus adjustment?
Yeah, we don't offer that. We've got a target for it, but it's something that I have to learn myself. Micro adjustments, I think, is what they call them.
Oh yeah, micro adjustments. Yes.
Yeah, so we've got a target for it, but it's not a service we offer yet. Something I have to learn.
So just as an example, having worked at Canon and worked with the service guys, or I should say service staff, a lot, because we did a lot of events where we would be doing focus adjustment at the event, like the Olympics. Sigma, and I know Canon and Nikon both use a focus target that is 7 feet tall, 7 feet deep.
Wow.
The issue is the bigger the target, the much more accurate it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
The smaller targets don't use anything smaller than a foot, than 12 inches. Actually, the bigger the better. So you can go 18 inches, more power to you. It's going to be more accurate. The small ones, like the little 6-inch ones, they're really too small to be accurate. But that's just, you know, the other issue is Sigma will adjust your focus for free.
Yeah.
All the lenses under warranty. So
that's great.
FY. And then anytime it comes in for whatever issue it's having, we'll also upgrade the firmware.
Nice.
So that's also, and that's free as well. So
good. Yeah, that's good. That's good news to have, because I know a lot of people, you know, I periodically will tell people, hey, well, it's in warranty. You know, if you're shooting weddings and it's in your bag and you bump your bag up against a wall or something like that, you may not realize it, but you may have inadvertently, you know, bumped the focus out of just mildly out of adjustment. And if you're like, COVID would be a great time if you're not shooting a lot of weddings because weddings are canceled or photo shoots are canceled. It's an opportune time to send them off to Sigma to have them calibrated, because you guys are still working on those in the front, like for the service center.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Good.
Well, actually, all right. So through COVID, because Sigma headquarters is in New York.
Yes.
So the first we were only allowed from the lockdown. We were only allowed 2 people total in the entire building.
Wow.
And of course, social distancing and masks. And actually, it was really interesting. The UPS driver and the post office guy who delivers, if he saw like 6 people in the office, he'd report you.
Wow.
And it's like, it was the crazy. Well, it was New York, and they were really truly suffering.
Yeah.
With the whole COVID thing. So I understand. And but today I think we're up to 75% occupancy.
Okay.
So the service department. Well, the problem was, yes, service people can work from home, but that means going to the office, picking up a few things, picking up tools and picking up machines and taking them home. And so they finally decided, no, we're just going to say that the service department is closed for right now. But they're all caught up, and I'm going to say ballpark, it's 2 weeks or essentially 10 business days in shop. They're usually quicker than that, but right now that's about average turnaround. Okay,
it's about 10 days. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Some quick questions before we get to our second subject here.
Absolutely.
Pontiff asked again, and we answered his question with the metadata just right. So good job on that, Brian.
Yeah.
He's asking, is the Sigma 10 to 20 3.5 sharp from edge to edge?
The question becomes, well, actually, for any APS-C sensor out there, the answer is yes. The issue is because realistically, there aren't any APS-C cameras out there greater than 24 megapixel. So yes, that lens, the EX series lenses, are designed for sensors higher than that. But keeping in mind that they're only for APS-C, they don't throw a big enough image circle to cover full frame.
Sure.
But although actually what's really interesting is those lenses, the DC lenses, C for cropped, DC, digital cropped, is they're very popular, like on Sony full frame cameras for video. Because it goes to crop mode anyways.
Yeah, because of the super APS-C mode or the Super 35 mode. Yeah.
Right, Super 35, correct.
Yeah.
So and that's been an interesting thing to run across. So, but yes, it's incredibly sharp, and it's just now. With that said, it's in the not too distant future. I don't want to put a damper on him buying him, but the prices are really good. I'm sure next year or the year after we'll replace it.
Yeah, because it's what, $649 right now is what it is.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And it's a great lens. I've used it myself personally, Pontiff. It was something that when I was still shooting on a 7D Mark I, that was the only thing that allowed me to get wider to get the shots that I wanted for landscapes. And I had a chance to play around with the earlier version, the 10 to 20 4 to 5.6, and then later on I got to use the 3.5. And I can tell you that you guys have done some great things with the wide angle lenses where there's no distortion vertically.
Right.
with vertical lines. And I think on that 10 to 20, like just at the very edge, it would maybe start to bow just a little bit. But I can tell you that that lens is, for the price of what it is better than most anything else out there.
Right.
Great for landscapes. Love shooting it for landscapes. I had a lot of people pick them up for architectural photography, for real estate here at the store, and some people doing some night stuff. So if that's kind of what you're shopping for, a great thing to get into.
It's a great lens to have. I bought a 10 to 20 because I have a 7D Mark II.
Okay.
And yeah, that's my go-to wide, and it's an amazing lens. So I would highly recommend it.
And he also threw in there that he's also for the 20 millimeter 1.8 EXDG. So it's an older. Sounds like he's talking about an older one. I can't speak to that. My experiences with the new 20 millimeter 1.4 Art.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys got that when you started to develop that. What do they, not rectangular, but that anti-distortion for your vertical lines was kind of pioneered in that 20 millimeter, the 14, the 12, the 12, the 12 to 24, the 14 to 24s. I mean, everything that you guys have done wide since the Global Series initiative has just been the distort. I mean,
amazing.
You'll get keystoning because that's just the nature of the beast.
Right.
But your horizontal line's sharp from edge to edge.
Right. As long as you're level,
yes.
your lines are incredibly straight. Absolutely. Actually, I was going to say my recommendation, it's going to depend on the camera. Mm-hmm. If he's got a higher resolution full frame camera, it is worth every penny to go to the 20F 1.4 Art. One, because it's faster. Two, it is definitely sharper. Mm-hmm. The 20 EX lens is not bad. Part of that, again, is going to depend on the resolution of the sensor in your camera. So if you've got, I don't know, anything north of 30 megapixel, I'd be leaning toward the Art.
Yeah.
And if you're like, no. So, I also have a 5D Mark III, so, which is like 22 megapixel. Yes. I would really consider a 20EX. Now, that said, the other issue is that lens is pushing what we call end of service life for us. A lot of the EX lenses are old enough that we're running out of parts. So we won't be able to fix them anymore.
And that's something I talk to people about quite often is we talked about future proofing the investment in terms of designing them for high resolution sensors. The other thing that you guys have to be worried about or concerned about is that they only order so many parts when they produce these lenses, so that once you need something fixed, I know cameras, like certain entry-level cameras, it's only 2 to 3 years shelf life per camera.
Right.
So lens is a little bit more forgiving, I'm sure, than that 2 to 3 years, but that's something to keep in mind. So I always encourage people to move money forwards than to move it backwards. If you're thinking like, well, hey, I'm going to spend $500 on this wide-angle lens, the older version, because I'm buying a used one or buying one that's new for less, I would be tempted to say, hey, I'm going to take that $500 and move it forwards, because typically, Brian, how long is it after like a lens is officially discontinued that they don't have parts available after the official discontinuation? I
believe legally we're bound to hold parts for 7 years.
So after discontinued? After
it's discontinued, you're right, correct.
Okay. So I think the 20 millimeter has already been discontinued, right? The EX.
Yeah, the EX series is pretty old.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, it's something where take that $500 and invest it in the new 20 millimeter Art or the 24 mil, another wide angle like a 14 to 24, because you're kind of future proofing your investment. You're making sure that while it's still current, you have your 4-year coverage, and then if something happens to it out of your 4-year warranty, granted you didn't drop it, it's not negligence. You'll at least have serviceability on it beyond that point.
Right. Exactly. That's the other important part.
So this is kind of like, I know we've taken some questions. We talked about the 100 to 400. But there was some big news recently from Sigma. We've already got a pre-order on this.
Great.
But you've got to show us another lens.
All right, so just I'm going to show you the current lens.
Yes.
So this is the 85 millimeter f1.4 art lens. It's on a Canon. This is a Canon mount SLR. So it's beefy, but it's got lots of presence. It is an 86 millimeter front end. We just introduced. So this is the new 85 f1.4 art DGDN lens for Sony. This is on an A7 III, and it's significantly smaller. It is a pound lighter.
Wow, a whole pound.
Yeah, so which is like pretty substantial. Whoops, backwards. So there's a major difference in the size. That's pretty incredible. And like I said, the front end of the SLR lens is 86 millimeters. The front end of the Sony mount is 77 millimeters.
Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah. The other amazing thing in looking at the MTF charts is it's sharper.
Wow.
Than our 85. Now, with that said, I can give you a list as long as my arm of people who swear by the 85-1.4 as being their great portrait, tack sharp. Actually, the lens is to the point it's a little too sharp because they have to soften up the texture of everybody's skin. There's too much detail. So the new 85 DGDN. So actually, let me back up a step. We have this naming convention that's a little odd. Of course, everybody's a little different. Canon has EF and then EFS, S for smaller sensor. Nikon has FX for full frame and DX for crop sensor. Sigma has, actually, I don't know what Sony calls them, to be honest.
They call them EF and EF. I mean, E and EF.
E and EF, okay.
Yeah.
And
full frame. E-mount full frame, and then just E-mount.
Got it. Okay. So, and E-mount will fit their APS-C cameras.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. Okay. And then so Sigma has DG. DG stands for full frame. Why didn't go DF for full frame? I don't know. Because for crop sensors, we have DC, which is digital cropped. So that's a pretty easy one. And now there's the new designation for mirrorless is DN.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know why they didn't go DM, M for mirrorless, but they don't ask us. So yeah. It's one of those things. So again, just to differentiate the full frame cameras from the crop sensor cameras, we have DC DN lenses and DG DN lenses. And so the Sony it's a FE mount. So obviously it also works on the APS-C cameras. And it's a DG DN lens. Just like the new 24 to 70 f2.8 and the 14 to 24 f2.8, the 100 to 400 contemporary is a DG DN lens. So I hope that helps clear that up, clear up the confusion. So.
Well, and didn't you guys win? Like DxO Mark gave you guys a perfect score for that 85. Like
they did.
So you get a perfect score for the older version, the DSLR version.
Right.
What does that mean for the? I mean, if it's 50 out of 50, how do you? If you guys are measuring it and it's sharper than your original 85. What is, they're going to have to add, does it get a 50 out of 50 plus score?
So, now the name of the movie escapes me. We have the ability on our stereo amp to go to 11 instead of 10.
Yeah.
So, the lens is just incredible. And it's coming in at
$11.99?
$11.99. You are correct.
Ooh, yeah, right.
I on the head. Perfect.
I remembered something.
Yeah. Perfect. So it's nice. Actually, it's the same price as the 85-1.4 DG lens.
Okay.
Although right now the DG is on the August instant rebate list.
Okay.
So it's $100 off. So it's $10.99. Oh, and also before I forget, today and tomorrow, actually more importantly tomorrow since the store is closed, if you mention the live chat, you get an additional $50 off.
Oh, well, this is news to Justin. I'm gonna have to.
Sorry.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get in, start reading memos or something.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So yes, on any Sigma lens, $400 and up, it's $50 off, including the lenses on the instant rebate list.
Okay.
There are a couple of exclusions. Obviously, the new lenses, so the DG/DN lenses are not included.
Okay.
But on any lens $399 and under, it's $25 off.
Okay.
Also, the MC11 and the MC21 are not covered.
Okay. Okay.
But money off always helps.
So basically, it's anything on the instant rebate list right now is covered.
Right.
And if it's 400 and above, it's 50. If it's 400 and below, it's 25.
There's one other exception, and that's the 18 to 300.
Yes, that would be one that is another one. Yep.
Yeah, because it's already pretty low.
Oh yeah, it's $499 right now. So
yeah, exactly right.
Yep, yeah. $80 off.
Yeah.
Now Ray had another question for us. This is a good one, Brian.
Okay.
Which is better, the 150 to 600 or the 100 to 400? And I knew that you would ask this because it's going to depend on the camera you have. And he's got a Canon 80D.
Got it. So he's already a crop sensor.
Yep.
All right. So the next question really then to Raymond is, what does he photograph? Personally, when I have the 100 to 400, I can't tell you, there are numerous times that I'm always going, I wish I had something longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really love the 150 to 600 contemporary. It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that heavy. Yes, it's not weather sealed. It's not built like a tank, but I take pretty good care of my stuff. Yeah, I've been out in the weather and the snow, and as long as you're careful, you're fine. Mm-hmm. So with that said, if you can afford the 150 to 600, that would be my suggestion. They're both really sharp. They're both the same f-stop range, or f5 to 6.3. They both have really good optical stabilization. And on the rebate list,
it should be $899.
Yeah, $899. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow it's $849. So with the $50 off.
Yeah, that's right. Between so what is that, Thursday and Friday, or just Thursday?
Thursday and Friday. So the best part about that is that it's the 100 to 400, if you're going to buy it for your Sony, is $949.
Okay.
So you have to get the extra 200 millimeters for less money. That doesn't happen very often.
Oh yeah.
That's a rare opportunity. So.
Well, and it's funny that we just mentioned that, because Mike here is saying, "Hi Justin, thanks for hosting this event, and hello Brian. Just a quick testimonial here. Sharpness is great, but I'm really impressed by the overall lack of chromatic aberration in Sigma's lenses, and also killer optical stabilization." So Mike, I can only assume that Mike is more than likely shooting on a 150 to 600 himself, and I've had some people who are using the 150 to 600 and have just been happy with their contemporary, not even upgrading to the sport. Now the sport is worth it. I use that to shoot the what is the Air Force's demonstration team? The
Thunderbirds.
The Thunderbirds. Yeah, I shot them several years ago, maybe like 2015 or so. And I had that on a gimbal head, and I just got great shots with it. And Mike is kind of confirming that yes, he's shooting with the 150 to 600 on a Canon 70D. So
yeah.
I appreciate your sharing that with us, Mike. It's really good to have actual live testimonials, and happy that you're using Sigma gear, and that it's working out great for you. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about your gear. I know my buddy Kenny, who is our store ambassador. He
Right.
just purchases Sigma gear. He says Sigma has not given me a reason to not purchase their lenses. And so and I helped him shoot a wedding not too long ago, and it's all Sigma. There's a 24, there's a 35, there's the 85.
Correct.
I know he's really excited. I know he really wants either the 105 or the 135. He's got the 70 to 200 2.8, the 14 to 24 2.8,
Wow.
the 24 to 70 2.8. So he's really gone all out, and he's a great advocate for you guys. I know every time he's in and he's got his bag, I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's all Sigma. It's all Sigma. So
Excellent. So
well, we're getting ready to wrap things up. I mean, I know you only promised us an hour, so I don't want to kind of dig into that too much. But we've got 5 minutes, guys. So if you guys have a last minute question that you want to throw out, you got 5 minutes. Feel free to throw that in there. Real quick, Brian, I got to ask, is there anything that we should be looking for from Sigma? Anything kind of exciting? Any news that we we can know about, that we should know about?
One of the exciting things going forward, and it's kind of been happening the last couple of years, is that all of the new lenses that have been introduced easily in the last 2, maybe 3 years, the ART lenses are now 100% weather sealed.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, which is really cool. So they're just like a sport lens, in that they're very rugged, and it's even better that they're sealed against dust and moisture. So
nice.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
And the last thing I want to mention, because I saw something about this in an email, and I hope I'm not letting any cats out of the bag, but was there something that I saw somewhere about like an educational program or something that's
it's yes. So
because there were some benefits to participating in this.
Yes, for students. So yes, we literally just rolled out a new education purchase program. There's one for students and faculty, and then there's another one for the institution. And essentially for students, it's up to the dealer to make sure that they are a student. And you then as the dealer you can sell them anything that we offer, as long as it's that full map.
Mm-hmm.
There's a form that you download off our website. They fill out and send in to us, and we will it's essentially 20% off of the map price.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And we will send them a
rebate.
A rebate card, right? A Visa card. Correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Now, are these classes that they take on like Sigma's website? Is it because they're a student themselves at a school or a college, or?
Essentially, we are targeting college students that are
mm-hmm.
enrolled in a photo or camera class, photo class, or program.
Okay.
Whether it be photojournalism, radio and television, video, any of those things, photojournalism and straight photography. Now, the issue is, obviously, as a student, you could be majoring in engineering and still take a photo class.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you're more than welcome to dip into the program. Now, the other thing that the dealer needs to be aware of is that if our monthly instant rebate list, where that particular lens is better than 20% off of map, they're better off buying it just with the instant rebate.
The sale price. So you can't stack the savings.
You can't double dip. Correct. You can't stack them up. Right. Absolutely.
So it'd be really good to be used on something like maybe that 85, that new DGDN.
Yes, that's correct.
Is at $11.99. You are a student. It's prime to take advantage of that at the 20% with the educational savings and go kind of chase after it. Very nice.
Yes. Absolutely. Actually, the same with the 100 to 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get if you have Sony cameras, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, especially and I know a lot of universities are partnering with Sony now to do that. So if your university is partnering with Sony, I would encourage anyone who's paying attention, who's watching this, to take advantage of that. And And it sounds like they come in. Do they do the saving? We do the instant savings first, or they buy it and then they get the savings afterwards. So they're paying full price, but they're getting
paying
a rebate.
full price, and then they're going to get the savings afterwards.
Okay,
they'll get
and that's great. Yeah, because that's good for your books or something like that, right?
Or you can go out Friday night and go get a beer,
or a keg of beer at that rate.
Or a keg of, right? I was trying to be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's a Sigma party, right? Sigma Alpha.
Too funny. So we try to come up with a program that's easy and simple.
Yeah, and that's great. I know that and it's good that you guys are kind of trying to maintain and kind of keep a relevancy in the market with training and education and things of that nature. And I think we're going to be doing this like once a month, Brian, if not with you, with someone from Sigma.
Yes, that is correct. And we also have an event coming up with you September, photographer,
yes.
2020.
And I think it's all going to be virtual.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So, because I've already seen some stuff with Olympus for that, and really excited about that. So we'll be looking for that virtually, and I take it we're going to have some kind of promo or savings, or there's going to be some kind of workshop that we'll be doing.
Actually, one of our ambassadors is going to do a presentation. Her name is Meg Locks. She's a family and child or kid photographer.
Okay.
Actually, and she lives in the UP.
Oh,
she's an Ooper.
even better.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she doesn't call us trolls, because we live on, like, I always hear that under the bridge. Like, no, we live south of the bridge. We don't live under the bridge.
Right.
There's no trolls here. No.
Right. Oh, what's really funny? I have never heard that. But then again, I don't live in Michigan.
Oh, well, count your lucky stars you don't. Because that's one of the things you get. The only reason I know this is I lived in Wisconsin, in Green Bay, for 4 years. And in Green Bay, I worked at the Sam's Club. People from the UP would come down from Marinette, from that side of Michigan, because that was the only Sam's Clubs they had.
Right.
Yeah. So they would always say, I would be like, oh, you're from Michigan, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, so am I. They're like, where from? And I would say Muskegon. They're like, oh, you're a troll. And
wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm a troll. Like, yeah, you live under the bridge. I'm like, well, I don't. I live south of the bridge. I don't live under the bridge.
Wow.
Yeah, those Yoopers, you got to watch out for them.
That's right. Exactly. That's too funny. No, but she's really great. And she does an amazing presentation. She does. The thing that's been incredible, I just saw her presentation, and everything she showed for an hour was shot at home.
Wow, that's
amazing.
Well, and a lot of people are doing that, so that'll be able to speak to people in quite a different way. Considering COVID has really changed things.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that presentation. I hope everyone else who's tuning in is able to join us for that in September.
Absolutely.
And I just want to ask real quick, Brian, outside of the stuff that you're doing for us with the Facebook Lives and the virtual classes, is Sigma doing something virtually that everyone can kind of participate in, where you can kind of go to the website and there's going to be, that you might be holding a class virtually in some other state that maybe somebody in Michigan might be able to attend? Is there something like that happening?
We also, although we haven't done, well, I take that back. We do a lot of things on our Facebook page.
Okay.
Sigma Photo is the easiest way to find it. We also have a YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff there that they're relatively short tutorials, which are really nice. And of course, there are blogs on the sigmaphoto.com website.
Okay.
That you can go to. Right. Absolutely.
Okay. So plenty of opportunities to check that out.
Absolutely.
So you guys, if you're tuning in, go to Sigma. What's the website, Brian?
www.sigmaphoto.com.
Okay, so sigmaphoto.com. Don't just do sigma.com. Do sigmaphoto.com.
Correct. And
the same as Facebook, just at sigmaphoto.
Right.
Or slash facebook.com / sigmaphoto.com or something like that.
Yeah.
So, well, I will I will kind of let you get back to it, Brian. I want to thank
Sure.
you on behalf of the camera shop, on behalf of our guests, our customers, our followers. I want to thank you for
Great.
this hour of time, giving
Sure.
us the lowdown on the 100, the 400, the 85,
Yeah.
1.4 for the FE, which
Yes.
I'm looking forward to. And it sounds like maybe the 70 to 200 might be lingering somewhere behind, it sounds like.
In the not too distant future.
Okay, I hope that's not. I hope that's still 2020, something to kind of brighten up 2020, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, actually, both the 100 to 400 and the shocker was the 85. We
Yeah,
had
I was
no
surprised by
idea
that.
this was coming. We had no idea it was so much smaller and lighter and sharper. This lens is just mind-boggling. It's amazing.
And it's even smaller than the G Master, right? The 1.4
Yes,
G
it is.
Master.
It's as they say up north, it's a skosh smaller.
It's a skosh.
Yes, absolutely. So it's pretty
Well,
cool.
well, great. Well, I don't go anywhere because we'll talk here after we close out.
Okay.
But I want to thank you again for joining us, and I want to thank everyone else for tuning in. Just remember that there's going to be that kind of that after school special where we're going to have $50 off anything over 400 on the Sigma lineup and 25 under anything that's 400 with some exceptions. And we can let you know here in the store, and that's only good for Thursday and Friday.
Right.
So capitalize on that while you can, guys, and we'll see you next time, Brian.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Justin.
Hey, no problem.
Great. Okay.
So have a good night, everyone.
Thanks very much for coming.